How do you stay motivated in life when you feel like your personal growth is slow? Are you actually doing better in life than you realize? You got to stop thinking and overanalyzing. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, tired, or anxious about not making a breakthrough as fast as you would like. Yet, don't compare yourself to others. On this episode of the podcast, I want to share 5 tips on how to stay motivated and recapture the inspiration you once had in life. But the first thing I want to mention is you're not alone. Everyone experiences burnout from time to time, but it's how we go from burnout and sadness and the feeling of dread to a different mindset, a different perspective, and a different view on life. I know you might feel overwhelmed, tired, and anxious, but I want to remind you that you're not the only one. There are many people who feel the same way, and I believe these 5 tips will help encourage you to go after whatever it is that excites you. So number 1, don't compare your growth and progress with others. We all feel the need sometimes to compare the things we do and the progress we have made with other people. Now don't get me wrong, using someone else's success in life as inspiration is not a problem, but comparing yourself to them is. The reason why is because when you compare yourself with what others are doing, you get this immediate rush of negative thoughts going on about yourself. You start feeling unsure about if what you are doing is right. But when you start thinking of things from a different perspective and use it as inspiration, you can get the right mindset going for yourself. I started falling into this slump when I started YouTube. I was comparing myself to other channels in my niche, and I started to feel overwhelmed and anxious about it, and the fact that I wasn't getting enough views, I felt like I was doing things wrong. But then I changed my thought process about it, and it led me to my second tip, which is celebrate the little accomplishments. Once I started doing this, I felt less anxiety and stress over what I was doing. When you get through the comparing and start celebrating the little things you have accomplished in your life will get a lot easier. Now, I want to ask you a few questions that you can use to remind yourself when the going gets tough that you're on the right track. What have you accomplished today? Are you better than you were yesterday? You see, if you start celebrating the small things, it will remind you that you're doing things right and that you're learning and that you're growing. See, the chances are that you'll be able to answer these questions and realize that you are learning things and that you are growing. All right, so the next thing that'll help you with your personal growth is I want to talk about overthinking and overanalyzing. This is probably something that all of us are guilty of. We spend a lot of time overthinking certain things, and the best thing you can do is try not to do it at all. Instead, think about possible positive outcomes of the event. You see, when we overthink and overanalyze, again, we start putting negative thoughts in our mind, and a lot of times it keeps us from growing because we back out of it before we even get started. I'm also guilty of this as well. There's been times in my life where I've overthought things. This one time, when I overthought about my anxiety, it actually kept me from going to work because I was actually overthinking and overanalyzing the fact I let my anxiety get in the way of progressing in my life. So see, you're not the only one out there that has done this before. I've done it as well. But like I said, the best thing you could do is try not to do it at all and try to think positive about whatever event that you're about to do. The fourth thing I want to talk about is idle minds generate negative thoughts. If you haven't noticed a trend yet, I keep talking about negative thoughts and how they keep you from progressing and growing in life. And this is one of the worst culprits of creating negative thoughts. Have you ever realized when you're sitting alone thinking and thinking that most of the time it's about negative thoughts? That's because our mind has been programmed over time to do this. Believe it or not, we think about the negative more than the positive. But why is that? It's because of the society that we're surrounded by. Most people around us spread the negativity, and what happens if you're surrounded by something, you become what you're surrounded by. Negativity is the plague for unproductive people. It keeps a lot of us out there from becoming something better. It's hard to do, I'm not going to lie to you. It's easier to think negative than to be positive about certain things. And if you haven't noticed, negative thoughts are what keep us from growing, and understanding this will change your life. And the last thing I want to talk about as to kind of wrap this up is taking your time. Now, why do you think I say take your time? Life is the longest damn thing that anybody ever does. There's no rush. You don't have to hurry up You don't have to try to compare yourself. You don't have to think negative about it. You don't have to have anxiety. You don't have to be overwhelmed. The best thing you can do to grow yourself is to take your time. Rushing is what causes most of the negativity in our lives, and our society has forced us to rush things. If you go back 30 years, things were a lot slower, but with all the technology that we have now, things are so fast that you don't even have time to enjoy it. So the best thing you can do, the last tip that I want to give you, is to take your time. If you enjoyed this podcast and you found value in this content, go ahead and share it with somebody that might need to hear it. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.